Hey, what's up? This is Todd Smith, and I'm back with another video. This video is going to go into my top 5 iOS musical apps. The iOS world is deep and endless. My top 5 will be highly different than somebody else's top 5, and that's a good thing. These iPads can adapt to various setups, or they can be a setup all their own. So that's going to highly affect on what my top 5 apps are. This is just my opinion and what works with my workflow. Take what you want and use it within your setup and forget about the rest. Now, just so you have an idea, if you've never watched my channel before, I do a very hybrid setup. Sometimes I'm working with just the iPad alone. Sometimes I'm working with hardware. Sometimes I'm working with iPad and the hardware. I kind of work between both hardware and software world, so that's where I'm coming from in my setup. With all that being said, my number one choice is probably in a lot of people's top 5 iOS apps, and this is Audio Share. Audio Share is, I believe, one of the most important apps on the iPad, and is the most versatile in the sense that you're going to see it across the most iPads, no matter what the setup is. And as long as some audio is coming from the iPad itself, and that is being recorded on the iPad, chances are Audio Share is going to be an important part of your setup. And the reason why is Audio Share gives you, the iOS user, a file sharing system, which is something they're just now bringing in to the iPad overall with the new iOS, which is great. But before that, they had absolutely no file sharing system at all. And this file sharing system is customized towards audio and gives you features like trimming. You can also record into it directly. It is a recorder, so you don't actually need any other program to record from your iPad. And then with the capability of being to export to so many places, it's definitely probably the first app I would pick up to anybody who's actually recording audio of any sort onto the iPad, whether that be from hardware or within the iPad itself. My next choice for the number 2 is Aria Pro. Aria Pro is an amazing multi-track audio recorder. I've used it for all my jams, for all my tutorials since getting it, for all my albums. Everything goes through Aria Pro. Now, audio is the strong point of Aria Pro. I don't really think the MIDI is super intuitive. As for recording audio, Aria Pro is really hard to beat on the iPad. It gives amazing quality for your audio. It is a little bit of a system hog, I've heard. Definitely when you start throwing some effects. It does take a higher end iPad. I do believe Aria Pro was built for the iPad Pro. So take that into consideration, that it's going to take a really strong iPad to use Aria Pro. But if you did get an iPad Pro, you can feel pretty confident that Aria Pro is going to run stable, because I've had no issues with it, pushing it pretty hard, and this is on a first generation iPad Pro. Aria Pro gives you tons of multi-tracking, high-end effects from Fab Filters for starting at $40, which is crazy. For on the computer, those VST effects go for $180 each. On the iPad, you're picking them for $40 or less. And all the top-end professional features that you would expect from a DAW is here. Even though there are other alternatives, Aria Pro has become my go-to for recording audio multi-track style on the iPad. Number 3 for me is kind of the app I use to tie this all together when I'm in the iOS universe, and that is AudioBus. AudioBus is really great, and it allows me to tie all my iOS synths and apps together in a manner that I like. Like if I want Core Gadget to run into Aria Pro, AudioBus will allow me to wire that together kind of like you would do with wires and hardware. That's the best way to describe it. AudioBus really is almost like your MIDI cables and your audio cables. So this is really important when I'm working really heavy within the iOS universe and I want things to connect. Number 4, it definitely hits upon my synth craze. I've recently fell in love with Gadget. Core Gadget has overwhelmed a lot of my hardware and almost every other iOS synth. It has taken over purely because of the amount of options within Core Gadget itself, the workflow of the sequencer, the high quality effects, and just the fact that it everything comes out so quick for me. It's just something about the workflow, something about me, and in the way you can build the songs. It just things are coming out really fast. Then the countless modules that they're giving and expanding on, it's really crazy. And I haven't even recorded into Gadget. There is a module where you can actually record audio into Gadget. So if you want to actually bring external stuff into Gadget and you don't have Aria Pro, that is an option. This really is a powerhouse groove box. Gadget is probably the best groove box I've ever touched in 20 years of music, and that is hardware or software. And my last one is Sysx Bass. It's from the company who made Patch Bass. Both are really good programs. I just happen to use the 6S Bass more because this program allows me to dump all my presets that I create on my hardware onto my iPad, save them, share them if I want, and also just have them as a backup. So if I ever want to replace them because maybe I lost them, recorded over them, they're there. That is definitely number 5 on my list on the most used apps. It is really nice. I did find it unstable at first, and if you do find this thing unstable, turn off the cloud option in your settings. That's what I did, and it made it perfect. I don't know. It was crashing like crazy. The second it was acting finicky as heck. I almost gave up on this program, and I'm glad I didn't. I went through the settings a little bit. There's an option to where it automatically saves your patches to the cloud. I turned that off, and it instantly killed all those bugs. You have the same issue with this program, that you go into your settings and correct that setting. That's my top 5 iOS programs right now. Those are the apps that I've been using on a daily. Well, guys, if you like this type of stuff, I try to share what I like out of my setup and what I find useful with you guys, so you guys can apply it to what you do. And I try to release a lot of music. I even give away some free synths when I grow out of them every once in a while. So subscribe, and you never know what's going to come around the corner. Thank you, guys.